Hello and welcome back to the Fruit of Grisaia, Sachi's route. In the last episode, Yuuji was observing Sachi as she was studying, realizing that Sachi had the brilliant mind of a student who was at least a couple of levels beyond the high school level that Mihammer Academy offers. But as Yuuji was called to work, he had to move the training session with Sachi to later at the day. However, when coming back from work in good time, Yuuji didn't find Sachi in the classroom at the designated time, nor for the rest of that evening, and the whole school got in a bit of a state of a panic. Let's continue.
Oni-chan! Yuuji!
The instant I push open the front door, Makina and Michiru rush up expectantly.
Well, did you find Sachin?
No, I tried everywhere you suggested she might go and all the public gathering spots I could think of, but no sign of her.
Okay, so any news from the principal?
She let me know that none of the police stations in the prefecture are looking after a girl. Nothing since then. Understandably enough, the two grow downcast as I speak. Sakagi and Amane might have hung back instead of rushing up to interrogate me, but it seems the news has a similar effect on them. I hear small frustrated sighs from their direction.
Then let's get back out there looking for her. It's not dark out anymore, so this time I can help too.
Even before the words are out of her mouth, Makina is yanking at my sleeve with impatient little jerks. Hold it, Makina.
Who?
I understand that you're worried about Sachin, but let's give Yuuji some time to rest, okay? He's been running around outside all night looking for her.
I wasn't thinking. Sorry for being such a selfish kid, Oni-chan.
No, there's nothing to apologize for. That's a natural reaction. Doesn't matter how much time I spent outside. There's no getting around the fact that I didn't find Sachi. Here, Yuuji, dry yourself off. Appreciate it. Catching the towel Amanda tosses in my direction, I wipe cold rainwater from my hair and shoulders. When you're done with that, go warm yourself up in the bath, or at very least take a hot shower. Don't really feel like it right now. I don't care if you feel like it. Take one anyway. I know you think you're pretty tough, but no one's immune to hypothermia. Alright. Her argument's logical, and she delivered it with such a painfully stoic expression that I can't bring myself to be stubborn. The rain's gotten a lot stronger, hasn't it? Gazing out of the front windows into the grey sky, Amane mutters to no one in particular. The rain started falling a little before dawn and hasn't let up since. If anything, the sound of water drumming against the building seems to grow louder with the passage of time.
I hope Sachin at least found some shelter. Don't worry, even if she's outside, I'm sure she'd buy herself an umbrella. Yeah, you're right. Of course she would.
Somebody breaks the silence, venting some new concern that's pushed its way into their mind. Someone else offers their best attempt at soothing words, and we're left listening to the rain once more. Since my return, we've repeated this pattern more times than I can count. A little after 9, Chizuru called to let me know she'd given a formal notice to the police. It's been nearly 4 hours since then. Since we've decided to rely on the authorities, the most helpful thing you can do is keep calm and stay out of the way. The police are fundamentally superior in terms of manpower and investigative skills, on top of which they have a critical advantage of socially sanctioned authority. In other words, we can let the professionals take care of the rest. A completely understandable judgment for our principal to make. Objectively, it's probably the wisest possible course of action. But however rational it may be, sitting around quietly like this is proving very hard to stomach. I've spent longer than this standing by on the job, but it feels completely different this time. The anxiety and frustration swirling around inside me seem to be growing exponentially with every hour that ticks by. It's increasingly a struggle to maintain my cool. Then I'll be waiting in the usual place as of approximately 5 p.m. Sachi definitely said those exact words to me just a few feet from where I'm sitting. And when Sakagi and Amane went into her room to investigate, they didn't find any evidence she wandered off on some spur-of-the-moment journey. The girl does have a slightly whimsical side, but it's hard to imagine her taking a trip without even packing a change of clothes.
What does Sachi think she's doing?
Suddenly leaping up from the sofa, Michiru breaks the silence, her voice tinged with something close to desperation.
Does that girl have any idea how worried we are? She better not think I'm going to let her off the hook. Cleaning all our rooms isn't going to cut it this time. Michiru, it's been a whole day since Sachi went missing. I'm sure her tummy's rumbling like crazy by now. I don't know what Sachi's up to, but I'm sure she's not going hungry. Really?
Yeah, her wallet wasn't in her room. Apparently she's got money to eat, at least.
That's good to hear.
But if she's gotten caught up in something, all bets are off.
Yeah, hey, Yumiko! Don't even say things like that.
You can't deny the possibility exists.
Well...
Michiru falls back into an awkward silence. Nobody's come out and said it until now, but we've all been thinking something of the sort. We all know Sakagi's right. Considering Sachi's personality, it's hard to imagine she'd vanish without a word, and the completely normal condition of her room makes this even stranger. No matter how much I want to deny it, there's a very real possibility something happened to her.
So, did Sachi get kidnapped by bad guys? It'll be okay. I mean, we don't even know that yet.
Unable to fully deny that unpleasant possibility, Michiru's voice grows weak and uncertain. Michiru's right. As long as we don't hear anything from the police or Sachi herself, we can't make any assumptions. Until then, we need to do what we can. Apparently the others are just as fed up with waiting around as I am. The instant the words leave my mouth, they lean in toward me with intent expressions on their faces. You're right. First off, let's go through everything, starting from the top. Sounds about right.
Okay, I know we've all heard it by now, but can you describe your conversation with Sachi yesterday one more time, Yuuji? Every detail you can remember.
Yesterday morning, Sachi and I agreed to continue the testing at 1 PM as usual. But I got called to my part-time job at the last minute. I told Sachi we would reschedule for 5 in the afternoon.
And how did Sachi respond?
Said she might be a little late. Asked if that'll be alright.
A little late, huh? We've been checking the classroom regularly since yesterday, but this isn't a little late no matter how you cut it.
Yeah, definitely not. After that, she just confirmed that she'd be waiting in the usual place as of 5 PM.
Waiting, huh? Sounds like she at least intended to hit to the classroom.
I guess so, but... Wait. Sakagi abruptly interrupts Amane's words, her eyes flashing. Was the usual place really the classroom?
Ah!
I see. That just might be it.
Huh? What do you mean?
With that one sentence, everyone, with the exception of a certain bottle blonde, instantly grasped what Sakagi is implying. If that's what happened, everything sort of fits. Yeah, it's definitely coherent, but...
Hey, hold it! Will you people stop agreeing with each other long enough to explain this to me? Please! Active grumbling out of nowhere.
Alright, Susan, would you be so kind? Okay then. After accepting Sakagi's request with a mildly exasperated nod, Amane sits up straight in her chair to explain. Okay, Michiru, you know that Sachi never turns down her favor or breaks a promise, don't you?
Of course I do.
Think about it. The simplest answer is that she's waiting for Yuuji, just like she promised. But she never showed up in the classroom.
But she never shows up in the classroom. And that's the crux of the matter. The crux?
Right. Yuuji might have meant the classroom when he said the usual place, but we don't know if that's what was true for Sachin as well. Now do we?
Ah, now I get it!
At this point, Amane finally succeeds in showing Michiru's train of thought down the tracks to the point everyone else passed 5 minutes ago, prompting an overblown reaction. I didn't explicitly tell her to wait in the classroom. There's a possibility she went somewhere else entirely. Normally, anyone would know that I was referring to the classroom, but in Sachi's case, a misunderstanding of some kind seems disturbingly plausible.
Right. Makes sense. So, where would the usual place be for Sachi?
That would be the problem, I suppose. Even if Komine-san really is waiting in a different location, we aren't likely to find her unless we gain some idea where that might be. True enough. To be honest, I don't know what she could have thought I meant other than the classroom.
Hey, Oni-chan, did Sachin say anything else at all?
No, nothing else about the location anyway.
Then try to remember all the places you've ever gone with Sachin. She gotta be waiting in one of them.
I've been trying. Outside the school grounds, the only place that really comes to mind is the shopping district.
But if she was hanging around over there, somebody would have found her by now.
Yep. For one thing, I thoroughly combed both the shopping district and proper and the commercial area around the station. So, in the end, we are right back to where we started. Not quite. We have something to think about now.
That's a start for sure. I'll rack my brains till I can't rack no more. Well, I'll try my best as well, but we're talking about places she's been with Yuuji. I think this one's pretty much up to him when you get right down to it.
As if on cue, all four turned their gazes toward me. Yeah, you're not wrong. I might be overlooking something here. I'm going to try to settle down and think this over as calmly as possible. Sounds good. Sitting here moaning is hardly doing much for any of us, so we might as well get a bit of a fresh start. Everyone assent to Amanda's suggestion. We temporarily suspend our meeting in an attempt to break out of this rut. The girls trudge back to their respective rooms. Soon enough, I'm left alone on the lobby sofa, gazing blankly out the window. In the end, I throw myself right back into the problem without even taking the time to stand up and stretch my legs. The usual place, is it? The usual modifier means it has to be somewhere she visits frequently. In context, some place that I've been with her on a regular basis. No matter how many times I roll those conditions through my head, the only places that fit the bill are inside the grounds of the school. It's enough to make me realize just how limited our relationship is. Sachi and I really have never been more than classmates. Our frequent interactions, the result of simple proximity inside of this somewhat claustrophobic school. Not that any of that is an excuse. So I can't even track down a single classmate without my special eyes and ears. Thank God my master's not alive to see this. She'd be in hysterics. No. If my master was here, she'd probably be angry at me before anything else. Angry that I'm wasting my time thinking about this crap instead of the problem at hand. That's right. Think. If the general premise I'm working from is correct, there has to be something I'm missing here. This isn't the first time I've hit a wall like this, and Asako taught me what to do at times like these. The concept of coincidence was invented by rabid romanticists as a pickup line. Listen up and listen good. Things happen the way they do for a reason. When none of it makes any goddamn sense, stop bashing your head against the wall and take a step back. Let your mind go limp. Just like the proverbial bluebird of happiness, the answer's gonna be sitting in a surprisingly obvious place. Surprisingly obvious, huh? Come to think of it, it feels like plenty of things have happened inside this birdcage of a school. To be perfectly honest, at first I just had her down as a weirdly diligent girl, but after a while I found out that she has a surprisingly amusing side, and eventually I started getting genuinely interested in what makes her tick. Sachi kind of resembles me. That thought might have been the biggest single reason for my uncharacteristic curiosity, but whatever the case, my little talks with her have been leaving a strong impression on me lately. Even so, there's just nothing there. Nothing in those memories that stand out as an answer. God damn it. Tearing my eyes away from the dour grey sky, I glance around the lobby in an attempt to distract myself from this unproductive frustration. A bamboo broom propped up beside the entrance catches my eye. Seeing that broom sitting idly by is proof enough that Sachi's not around. It never seems to leave her side when she's pottering around the door. It's far more pleasant to find the places you use nice and clean, after all. Just yesterday she made her work as a pseudo-maid sound like her life's mission. Come to think of it, outside of the classroom, Sachi's been wearing a maid uniform constantly since the day we met. Hold on. Could I really be making a fundamental mistake in my assumptions here? For one thing, if I was wrong about something that basic, the field of possibilities grows significantly wider. And when I narrow those down using the conditions I've been rolling around in my head all this time, all of a sudden I've got a completely different candidate for the usual place. But if I'm right about this, there's one point in particular that seems completely inexplicable. That said, we reached a total dead end, and otherwise I have no choice but to run with it. Huh, Yuuji? Are you going out to search again? Just as I'm rising to my feet, Michiru reappears in the lobby, probably stopping by to check up on me. Yeah, I think I may know where Sachi is.
Ah, that a fact? Wait, what did you just...
Like I said, I might have figured out the usual place Sachi was talking about. I'm going to head there to check right away. Let the others know, will you?
Yeah, I can handle that much, but...
Alright, I'm counting on you, Michiru.
Be careful out there, got that?
Without pausing to grab an umbrella or raincoat, I rush out of the dorm, sent off by Michiru's earnest, if completely out of character, words of concern. Not bothering to avoid the puddles in the pocketed asphalt road, I sprint single-mindedly away from the dorm. On the job, it's fundamental common sense not to set up an umbrella, even in the middle of a typhoon. This rain doesn't even faze me. More importantly, every second counts right now. An entire day has passed since Sachi went missing, 24 hours since she left the dorm. And she may have been waiting for me all this time. She may still be waiting, even now. The festering sense of frustration inside me swells so to unbearable intensity. Sachi.
That's unclear to me as well, to be perfectly honest. When you praise me, Kasami-san, the pit of my stomach gets nice and warm. It seems I've faded in front of you again. Very perceptive. It's a favorite of yours, isn't it?
Ironic. After all that time going around in circles, now it's like the dam broke. Just as my master said, the breakthrough was staring me in the face all along. Sachi gave me plenty of hints herself. My new hypothesis growing firmer with every step I make my way toward the other usual place. Nothing left to do but see if she's there. This place hasn't changed as much as I expected. I mumble to myself, feeling my way through vaguely familiar streets. And during a several-hour train ride from Mishima Cape, I returned to this place for the first time in many years. This is the town where I was born. In my earliest years before my master took custody of me, I lived here with my parents and my sister. Never thought I'd be coming back here, much less looking for Sachi. The only constant in life is its unpredictability. Slowing my pace, I moved carefully forward, guided only by faded memories. The usual place that came to mind when all the reasonable answers failed me was a small park, my one and only childhood playground, situated on the outskirts of this town. Here we go. The area around the park is thoroughly deserted, and the streetlights outside are dimmed to an absolute minimum. It's a small playground designed to give young children a place to romp around on sunny days, and so that's all that is expected. There's no way anybody would be using this playground on a miserable rainy evening like this one. That would become the common sense conclusion, but... Okay, Michiru, you know that Sachi never turns down a favor or breaks a promise, don't you? Think about it. The simplest answer is that she's waiting for Yuuji, just like she promised. I recall Amana's words from this morning. We all knew what Sachi was like. We knew she was bizarrely obedient. We knew she was prone to making strange mistakes as a result of subtle misunderstandings. But we all assumed those quirks were nothing more than a reflection of her diligent personality. We'd all assumed that she would bend those rules of hers if it became truly necessary. That's exactly why I don't want her to be here. Much as I want to find Sachi, those words spill out of my mouth. And contradictory as it might seem, I really mean them. If Sachi's here, my initial concerns about her behavior were justified. My vague unease will become something far more concrete, far harder to face. Given any choice in the matter, I don't want that to happen. No, I can't afford to worry about that right now. Forcibly persuading myself to refocus on the problem at hand, I finally enter the park. And once inside that dim, desolate playground, my eyes quickly find a small figure illuminated by moonlight. Sachi. Aww. Ah, Kasami-san. The swing set's a tiny thing, made for the use of young children. Crammed into the undersized wooden seat, indifferent to her rain-soaked clothes, Sachi looks up at me and smiles. Have you been waiting here since yesterday? Yes, I have. Without even eating? In the rain? All this time? Yes. Goddamn idiot. It's too much for me to endure. She's just too pitiful right now. Before I know it, I'm shouting down at her. Ah, you seem to have gotten mad at me all of a sudden. I wonder why. Of course I'm angry. Huh? Why? Why didn't you realize I wasn't coming? Why didn't you realize something was off? Why didn't you just leave? Why the hell did you sit here all this time to keep some worthless promise? 'Cause it was a promise with you, Yukon. An intimate tone, completely unlike the formal tone of speech Sachi usually employs. And that vaguely embarrassing nickname. The combination resonates nostalgically with the memories rendered fuzzy and indistinct by the passage of time. Yukon? Come on, Yukon, let's play on that next. Thanks, Yukon. Sachi's words. The connections I'm drawing have to be real. Why would you pick up other people's trash? I mean, next time I come here to play, wouldn't it be nicer to find the place clean? So my guess was correct after all. You and I didn't meet for the first time at Mihama Dormitory. That's right, in the past we used to play together here. Sachi confirmed my words casually, as if it was the most obvious thing in the world. Of course, her mere presence in this place is proof enough. Sachi, how long have you known? I first considered the possibility when you introduced yourself to me the day you entered Mihama Academy. Through our various discussions over the last few months, I began to suspect in earnest, but I ultimately realized you were Yukon only when you stroked my head for the first time. That was enough to convince you? Yes, it was. You see, Kasami-san, your hand had the exact same warmth as the hand of the boy I loved. In other words, Sachi realized some time ago and kept quiet, until now. Then, why didn't you say anything? What do you mean, why? I'm asking why you didn't tell me about all this. If I'd known, I might have remembered this place much more quickly, right? I apologize. It simply didn't occur to me that you might go anywhere else, Kasami-san. It didn't occur to you? That's correct. As children, we always arranged to meet in this park. In other words, we never played anywhere other than here. When you said the usual place, this was the only location that came to mind. Are you serious? Yes. So many things happened so fast back then. The details are still fuzzy for me, but Sachi's memories of the time we spent together doesn't seem to have faded, and this playground is clearly a very important place to her. But even so... Also, you never requested that I tell you. I see. Come to think of it, Sachi's always been like this, silently carrying out her orders like a faithful robot, never expressing doubt or interjecting with her own opinion, never advancing her own interests. The rare exceptions come only when Sachi judges it strictly necessary. Even then, she's usually just seeking clarification. There's no longer any doubt in my mind. Those rules have to be the very reason Sachi ended up in Mihama Academy. In other words, it's all exactly as I feared. Kasami-san, why do you look so sad? Because I am sad, idiot. What, aren't you? Let's see. Actually, I'm quite happy. Happy? Yes. You might have been rather late, considering the time we originally agreed to, but you did show up in the end, Yukon. So, I'm very happy indeed. As Sachi smiles up at me, I finally realize something. The one thing about this girl that truly resembles me is the way that she smiles. An artificial thing plastered on for the sake of lubricating social interactions, an attempt to put others at ease rather than a reflection of any real emotion. Maybe she's not lying. Maybe she really is happy. But whatever the case, that smile is hollow. How many times have I seen this expression on her face, and only realizing it now? Pathetic. No, maybe it's not surprising I didn't notice. I've managed to fool plenty of people the exact same way. It's a skill that develops with practice. Kasami-san, please don't make such a miserable face. You kept your promise, that's what matters. So this time, it's my turn to play this role. Rising unsteadily to her feet, Sachi reaches up and brings her hand to rest on top of my head. Ah! Thank you for keeping your promise, Yukon. Maybe it's sheer surprise. Maybe some part of me wants things to stay like this a little longer. I can't tell for sure. Whatever the case, my body is frozen in place under the gentle movements of that small hand. Sachi, what are you? Well, I do apologize for not asking your permission first, but the last time I promised to wait in the usual place, you never showed up at this playground, Yukon. I didn't? I'm afraid not. But That wasn't your fault, Yukon. I was a bad girl back then. I decided it was a promise all by myself. It's only natural that you didn't show up. But things were different this time. This time we made a real promise. And this time you really did show up in the end. That makes me very happy.
Sachi!
I catch Sachi in my arms as she collapses forward, the last of her strength gone. I apologize, Kasami-san. I'll get right up.
Nothing to apologize for. Don't push yourself.
I'm glad to hear you say that. For some reason I can't quite seem to stand up at the moment.
Hardly surprising after sitting through that rainstorm without eating or drinking.
At a quick estimate, Sachi's been in this place 28 hours straight. And I'm willing to bet that she didn't even allow herself to take a nap the whole time she was waiting for me. No matter how sturdy the girl is, she must be well past the limits of her physical endurance by now. But I promised I'd take another of your tests now.
You don't need to worry about that either.
Huh?
The only thing you promised me was to wait until I showed up, and you kept that promise. You can rest now.
That's very nice to hear. With those words and a particularly weak attempt at a smile, Sachi instantly falls unconscious. Within seconds she's gone totally limp, leaving me to bear her full weight in my arms. It's only then that I finally realize just how alarmingly cold her body is. The girl's clearly in bad shape, to the point that she needs medical attention, and quickly. Even so, the expression on her face as she sleeps seems genuinely happy, in a way that artificial smile never was. I may be a pretty pitiful excuse for a human being, but maybe, just maybe, there's something I can do with this girl.
You're a hell of a lot tougher than you look, Sachi.
After brushing a few drops of rainwater from Sachi's face, I pull out my cell phone and call Chizuru. Wait, Yukon! Why don't you play with me anymore? That's not fair. Aren't we friends now? I thought we'd play lots and lots from now on. And now we have to say goodbye all of a sudden? I'll be waiting tomorrow, okay? Until you show up, Yukon. I'll wait at the usual place, no matter how long it takes. Even after hearing Sachi's story, this is about as much as I can remember. As children, we parted abruptly. Our burgeoning friendship was cut off without warning. That must have happened when I was forced to move away after my sister's death. That much makes sense. But there's still one part of all this that I find completely inexplicable. I understand that Sachi has to be the same person who played with me as a child, but the girl in my memories was energetic and strong-willed in the extreme, a little spoiled even. Her personality and way of speaking were totally unlike the Sachi I know today. Of course, people naturally change as they grow up, but I don't know many transformations that dramatic. Something must have triggered such a radical shift.
I guess that something is connected to our conversation back then, but
there's no way to know for sure until I learn more about Sachi's past. With what happened over the last 2 days, I think that's become necessary. Stargazing on the roof? Seems you have a surprisingly romantic side.
Ah, Chizuru.
I told you to wait in my office, didn't I?
Sorry. Felt like getting some air.
That's so. Dropping the line of questioning, Chizuru walks up to stand at my side. I have contacted all the concerned parties and dealt with the hospital paperwork.
Appreciate it. Sorry to push all the work on you.
That's my line. It's my job to supervise the students, and you're the one who actually found Kumina-san.
True enough.
More importantly, shouldn't you be with Kumina-san right now?
She's got 4 dedicated nurses at the moment. I think she'll be alright.
Well, yes, but still.
Women don't like having men oogle them as they sleep, right?
Jeez, you're about the only person I know who could make such a stupid joke at a time like this.
Blame my sister. I inherited it from her, but anyway,
You had something else to take care of.
Right. Remember what you told me a little while ago? How you don't expect me to do anything in particular for this school or students?
Yes, I do recall saying that.
I've got a follow-up question.
And what would that be?
Are you willing to let me get involved on a voluntary basis?
Oh, but of course.
Good to know.
Sounds almost like she was expecting this from the very start. Guess there's a reason she's able to get by sitting around and sipping expensive tea all day. But are you sure about that? It's not like this is an Ichigaya mission. You're under no obligation to act, and there's no reason to believe getting involved will bring you any real benefit.
No, but I didn't come to this school for duty or profit. You might say I'm here precisely because I wanted something more than that.
Right. I wanted to understand the meaning of the words my master left me. Ah, I see. Also, in a way I owe Sachi my life. Kumine-san saved your life? Sachi and I knew each other as kids, and it's probably thanks to her that I managed to push my way through the worst of it. I must admit that's a bit of a shock. I didn't know anything about this. Not surprising, I just remembered a little while ago myself. I see. Lowering her hand from the fence, Chizuru turns to face me. But given circumstances like those, I can understand why it's Kumine-san in particular. Circumstances aside, simple truth is, Sachi caught my interest as she is today. Caught your interest, eh? In that case, perhaps you are ready to reconsider. Shall I give you my files on Kumine-san? Like I said before, that won't be necessary. Do you plan to interrogate Kumine-san then, knowing full well she can't refuse to answer? That's not it either. Then, I'll handle this my way. In this case, maybe it's a pointlessly roundabout method, but I've gotten by with it all this time, so I'm going to stick with what I know. I see. A clumsy but straightforward approach. Very much like you. Was that supposed to be a compliment? A very interesting question. Blatantly evading the question, Chizuru offers me a composed smile. Alright, I think it's about time I got going. Okay, if you need something from me, just say the word. I'm counting on it, Principal Tachibana. Well then. Stepping outside the school grounds, I retrieve my cell phone from my pocket. Even if it does ultimately come down to asking for someone's help, I'll stick to the methods I trust the most. If I want to change something, to accomplish something meaningful, I think that's the way it has to be. Julia, I need a favor. Surprisingly peaceful look on her face, huh?
For crying out loud, does she have any idea how scared we were? Talk about happy-go-lucky. Yeah, sure as heck better not be some crappy twist where she stays this way forever. Okay, don't just invent completely horrible stuff out of nowhere, thanks. I'm just worried about Sachi.
There's no need to worry about that, I believe. From what the nurses tell me, she's simply physically exhausted. This is nothing more than a deep sleep.
That's good to hear.
Seriously though, I'm impressed Yuuji found her in the first place.
Yeah, now that you mention it. The power of love is amazing.
Perhaps so.
A what? That's the absolute last person I expected to take the bait.
It's not like I meant anything by it, it's just that they seem to have been getting friendlier lately, so the explanation seemed vaguely plausible.
Cut it out, Yumiko. You're not just overlapping with my character, you actually got skills.
Skills might not be the right word. I'm pretty sure Sakaki-san isn't natural.
I won't give up. Sometimes farm-raised eels are even tastier than the ones they catch in the wild, so there! Ah, shut up already, Chihiro. You're gonna make Sachi wake up. Gah, you're the one who started this, you know?
In any case, we're well past the normal visiting hours by now. I think it's about time we took our leave for the moment. That's true. We got a lot of stuff we need to bring her, after all. Like a change of clothes, for starters.
Would it be nice if that idiot Yuuji stuck around to help? The heck is he doing anyway?
True, he just said, I've got something to take care of, and ran right off. He was the one who witnessed the scene, not us. I'm sure he simply knows something we don't.
Does he really have to keep up the cool guy act at a time like this? That's what gets you moist, right? Shut up!
Alright already, you really are going to wake her up. Let's withdraw for now, okay?
Yeah, I get the message. Okay, Sachi, we'll be back in no time, so be a good girl till then, alright?
Well, we shall see where Yuuji's teachings take him. But I would reckon it involves a German in a bright yellow sports car. We shall see in the next episode, so until then, take care.